What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today we're going to be checking in on one of our old haunts because the developers have announced that a DLC is being developed for this game. Battle Brothers is one of my favorite titles to come out in a long time. I like this game a lot. Like, that would be an understatement. I like this game a ton, and I think it's very, very good. However, it suffered from kind of repetitiveness and sort of like paper-thin gameplay, unfortunately. Like, the tactical aspect of the game is very, very good, but there's not a whole lot you were able to do on the overmap of the game. Like, you weren't able to have your own towns to operate out of. You weren't able to, like, invest your funds to create new kind of, I guess, new productive empires and stuff like that. And what I would have loved to have seen from this game was the ability to go in and take the money that you earn from being a mercenary company and use it to finance an even bigger, even better mercenary company that's now vying for nobility through sheer violence by itself. That out of the way, though, this is still definitely one of my favorite titles. Don't let that warning hold you off. If you've ever been looking for a turn-based Mount and Blade, this is the one to check on out. So that's the best way that I can describe the game. Turn-based Mount and Blade, but with none of the city management aspects and all combat. This game has a DLC that's been announced, so I figured we stop back on in and do a little bit of gameplay to check it on out. Instead of the Battle Brothers, we will be the heavy hand of the game. There it is. It comes down on all of us. When the game comes swinging, you got to be ready for it. And obviously we need to have a big old hand right there with a diamond ring on the gauntlet because that's ballin'. In this game, the general point and flow of the game is to build your army up. So you've got basically like 300 days, I think is how long you have, and then a crisis starts. And whether or not you survive that crisis determines how well you did in the game. And so for 300 days, you'll be offering your services to noble houses, raiding one another, going out, managing caravans, stuff like that, getting all the best gear and all the experience that you can possibly get before the endgame crisis starts and you're basically forced to fight for survival. Let's go ahead and go on in next. I play with everything on Veteran. It won't be Iron Man mode. I find this game to be, I don't know, sometimes this game has a lot of randomness in it. If you've ever played XCOM, you'll know what I mean. Like, sometimes something just goes wrong. You'll play it right, you'll play it safe, you'll play it well, and someone will still get one-shotted. It just kind of is what it is. It all went wrong. 2 days ago, the company was hired to track down Hoggart the Weasel and his band of raiders, but it was them who found you first. An ambush. Some joke about horses cut short by an arrow to the throat. Arrows shooting in from everywhere and nowhere. Men holler and scream a great volume before death. As the hail subsides, you draw your weapon with the rest of the men only to collapse to your knees. An arrow has punctured your side. You shout in pain. A harried glance sees men charge about you to make a valiant last stand. Met in force as steel clashes with steel. Your eyes meet the captain, a last nod before his throat is cut. You're left in command now with what few men remain. Trembling in pain, you lean on your sword, and with all the will you can, you rise again. Things are not going well for our mercenary company right now. We are slightly more bludgeoned and murdered than we were previously. No, Captain Burner, don't do it! Captain Burner got swacked. He got took out. Go ahead and fire an arrow at him. Didn't work out for us. He's got two abilities, reload and fire crossbow. The archer is running for it. That's Hoggart the Weasel right there. Axe guy, lay him low. Or lay him high. Lay him really wherever you want to lay him. I don't really care where he gets laid. Just make sure that he gets laid. Crossbowman, I think you're going to have to move over to here if you want to shoot your shot. What would you do if you had one shot? So from our loot, we got 2 flails. Not too bad. I've gotten better loot from the starting combat before, but I'll take it. You're alive and you've won. The adrenaline fades, and in its wake, you can't help but sink back to the ground. Gritting your teeth, you snap the arrow's shaft. Your chest heaves, pain for breath, everything blurs. The company has been devastated, cut down to but a few men, and the bastard Hoggart did justice to his name, fleeing like the weasel that he is. What now, Captain? A voice says from behind. It's Berengar, who sits down beside you, bedding his bloodied axe on his legs. You turn to him to reply, but before you can answer, he continues. Bernard's dead. Slit his throat. A good man and a damn good leader, but all it took was one mistake. That makes you the one in charge now, right? Gottfried the Red joins the two of you, still breathing heavily, then Houston. Save the ceremony and appointments for another day. Let's give the men a good burial and return to Harkensea to collect our pay. The Weasel's men are slain after all. Besides, Captain, we ought to see to that wound before we lose you too. Wouldn't want to leave Gottfried the Red in charge, right? Let's have a look at this map. So this is the biggest part of the game, is that you can get bad maps. And from what I could tell, this is a bad map. So the game's random generation for the map can leave you in kind of a rough situation. There's good maps and there's bad maps. if this map was going to be good, it would have a road going down this right here, and then it would be a very, very good map. But unfortunately, that's all it takes for it to become kind of a mediocre map. The reason you want to have a really, really good map is because this game is particularly skint with money. You don't get paid very often. You don't make a lot of cash in the beginning of the game. And if you don't have the ability to rapidly go in between villages checking for jobs and also moving around trade goods, you're going to fall behind on what the game costs, which is pretty expensive at the beginning. It's not that bad if you can make it to the middle of the game. By the middle of the game, you should have plenty of money and you should be able to pay all of your bills and everything else without too many problems. But at the beginning of the game, you want a map where the cities are really, really clustered together and they're kind of all in one central area, and then you have some outlying ones that are laying all over the place. This map will do fine for right now for our impressions purposes, our revisiting purposes, but for a long-term playthrough, I'd be nervous. Like I said, is there a road right there? If there was a road that ran from here to here, I'd like this map a lot better. Like, way better. Or if there was a land bridge right here, I would like it a lot better. But as it stands right now, kind of a tough map to start out with just because of the sheer geographical distance between everything. You might be able to make it work just by running in between these 3 locations and then only going out to other places if you have to. But it's going to be a rough start. It's going to be a very, very rough start. So let's go to Harkensy. That's where our first objective is, and we'll get ourselves paid. And then we'll decide on picking up a few more men, maybe doing a job or two, and seeing if we can get ourselves financially well-stocked. What a sorry display it must be for the onlookers as you arrive in Harkensy. 4 bloodied and beaten mercenaries down on their luck. The men who hired the company days ago, Eggle the Guildmaster, no doubt expected you to return in more glorious fashion. Still, he welcomes you to his house and offers bread and wine while a servant fetches a healer. Few words are exchanged except for the occasional grunt and wheeze as an elderly man with shaky hands tends your wounds. A pin pierces your skin, the first of many stitches to come. You grit your teeth till you think you hear one break. Eggle the Guildmaster sits beside you and asks if you took care of Hoggart. You shake your head. We killed his men, but the weasel eluded our blades in the end. The healer waves around a glowing fire poke, suggesting he wants to push it into the wound. You nod, and he does so. For a moment, that's all that there is. You're not a man, but a pinch of fire, flesh from flame, a golem of pain. Eggle the Guildmaster hands you a goblet of wine. You did well, sellsword. The brigands have been removed, and though it's a shame that Hoggart still lives... Eggle the Guildmaster gasps. Well, naturally, 400 crowns is what you'll be paid for this job. He gestures towards a servant who rushes to your side with the pay in hand. I wonder, can I make use of your services one more time? I'd very much like to end the headache that is Hoggart once and for all. I'll pay you, of course, another 400 crowns, shall we say? Berengar scoffs and turns to drink more wine, but Halston stands to speak. Yes, the company is in ruin, but we will rebuild it. Without the heavy hand of the game, Berengar would drink the crowns away and end up begging on the streets, and Godfried, by the gods, we all know he'd go chasing womenfolk until one stove his rotted head in. We need the heavy hand of the game, and it's all that we have. What say you, Captain? Berengar burps and raises his cup. Godfrey the Red playfully thumbs his nose and nods. Kill the bastard or not, it's up to you, Captain. Let's do it. Eggle the Guildmaster claps his hands in satisfaction. Excellent. My little birds are going to need some time to find where he's hiding. In the meantime, I suggest you see about stocking up on supplies so that you'll be good and ready to end this when the time comes. I'll see you in a few days' time at the latest. As you leave Eggle the Guildmaster's house and stand on the outskirts of Harkensy, Halston seeks a word with you. We're going to need more men, Captain. I know I gave a big speech back there, but bravado isn't going to do shite. We need more warm bodies in the ranks. Figure we find 3 good men, buy them some decent weapons, and dress them in the best armor we can afford. Then Benton paused to glance around. I bet this Spodunk town's got a desperate peasant or two looking for a new life, or we could travel to go to Blankenfeste in the west. The city folk aren't always as hardy as these country bumpkins, but we're more likely to find men with fighting experience stopping to rest there. Alright, let's see who we've got. We've got a beggar. I'll take him. Einar the beggar. We've got Olaf the fisherman. Probably leave that alone for right now. We got to go to Blankenfeste. Alright. That was where I was worried it was going to send me. I definitely didn't want to go over there because we don't have any easy access. While we're taking this long walk over to Blankenfeste, it's going to cost us 2 or 3 days' wages. And that 2 or 3 days' wages, gonna hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. In addition, we're going to have to buy more food before we come back, which once again is going to hurt us. Like I told you, this is a bad map. This is a fairly piss-poor map as far as the random generation goes. I was hoping they'd send me over to Sudburg or Morsgard. That would have made it a little bit more manageable. Let's go to Morsgard first and see what they got going on over here. If we can get some cheap sundries, maybe we'll be able to pull out a mushroom grove and a leather tanner. So they've got hides over here. Alright, we'll check on the hides, although I bet we won't be able to afford them. They got some mushrooms, they got some food. I will probably grab another food while it's here because that's a decent cost for it. And then we are going to need some kind of hauberk for our new guy. We're going to need a shield for him as well. I didn't want the hat. Sometimes the game double clicks on you when you only click once, and it buys 2 things in a row. It doesn't happen very often. That's probably the second time it's happened in like 10 or 15 hours of gameplay. But sometimes, like, if you click and hold too long, it'll like cycle through. Really, that's only 96? I'll take it. That's dirt cheap for armor that good this early in the game. That's like crazy good. Let's go back over here, and anything that's broken will be fixed with tools in between. And we'll go ahead and sort out all of our fighters here for just a moment. For you, let's go ahead and put you in better armor. He's already got a shield and a spear. Sounds good to me. We're going to go ahead and give him one of the flails, one of those, and one of those. And that'll get him... Actually, he can have a gambeson. There you go. Get you fitted up with a gambeson. We actually have pretty decent troops right up here in the front. Not bad. I'm going to give him a better helmet. And in fact, let me swap that out for that. Because this guy has no shield, which means in combat he's much more likely to be struck by a blow. And so I think I'd rather have him in the heaviest armor that we possibly can, just in case he eats a few too many hits. And then while we're in here too, we can throw a hat on him just to give him some extra armor. The basic way that it works is the enemy's got to destroy your armor before they can hit your health. So you have head armor and body armor. Head armor is pretty important because most headshots are crits, and if you get killed by a headshot or knocked down to 0 health by a headshot, it's an instant death most of the time, because it's an automatic crit and crits kill you. So it can end up pretty poorly for you if you aren't careful about the way you handle your business. Let's go ahead and walk on over here to Blankenfesta. Hopefully we can hire a couple of cheap people over here. Just some like very, very, very low-wage headbreakers to kind of eat blades and soak damage until our really, really good guys can level up a little bit. There's our first payment right there. Up at the top we've got crowns, which is the amount of money that we have. We have food, which goes down based on how many men you have. We've got tools and supplies, which are used to repair your gear if it's damaged after combat. We've got ammo, which is used to restock your archers and your crossbowmen, and we've got medical supplies, which helps your men continue healing in between fights. Little bit of a walk over to Blankenfesta, but I think it's going to be okay. As Blankenfesta's skyline appears on the horizon, Gottfried the Red speaks a word with you. Never been to Blankenfesta before, but I've been around ones that look a lot like it. Cities like these are great for selling goods, as all these prissy, pompous pricks love to have their goods delivered. With so many merchants, you can find almost anything you need, too. Keep an eye out for bargains, and don't get swindled by them cutthroat merchants. Berengar sees fit to add his own opinion of what you should do. If there's a good tavern, I'd say that's where we should go first. Nothing helps a man down on his luck like a good pint. Gods know that we've earned it. Gottfried the Red shakes his head. You say that whenever we go to town. You say that even when you're already drunk. The man likes his drink. Don't guilt trip him for him. Some people have hobbies. Some people stitch. Some people crochet. Some people drink heavily to make the pain go away. It is what it is. Let's hire some new men over here. Hopefully we'll find somebody cheap. So we've got a brawler over here. They tend to be pretty good troops. They're expensive, but, you know, it works. We've got a historian over here. I think he learns fast, but other than that, he's pretty trash. We've got an apprentice right there. And we've got ourselves pretty much nothing else. Hopefully we can pick somebody up. We can pick somebody up who's better as we get further. Got a little bit of armor right there, so we don't really need to worry about that. I would take that. It's not damaged enough. I'll take that right there. It did it again to me. It did it again. Got me with the double click. Bad luck today. Very, very bad luck. I'll grab a hat real fast. Let's go ahead and grab a couple of bucklers because tall shields are not really going to be a problem for the moment. And it's about the best we've got for right now. Let's roll through and equip everybody. So there's you, and there's you. We still need a weapon, so we'll keep that in mind for the future too. We need at least one more weapon and at least 2 more guys, I think, is what I would prefer to have before we dive into the dangerous campaign that we have in front of us. Pretty cheap fish over here. Actually, it's not that cheap. Never mind. I'm going to see if I can pick up a weapon. Yeah, that'll do right there. Cudgels will do at this point in the game. Just a little beat stick for him to take out enemies with. And then we'll see what we can find in one of the other villages. So we took care of the quest right there. Let's go ahead and go back to Moorsgard, and we'll see what we find. One cool feature about this game is you can actually see what the cities produce by mousing onto the buildings that are around the cities, and that plays majorly into the economic game before you decide where you want to go. Like these guys over here make tools, and they've got goat pens. These guys down here have dye makers, so these guys are going to have lots and lots of dye. So selling from there to other location like Moorsgard, or making the long run back to somewhere like Blankenfesta after we pick up stuff. What was that right there? I saw red. I saw red. It's 1 Nachtjarer. We might be able to take them, but I don't think it's worth it. On this side, we've got Eric the Young, who's an apprentice, Otmar the Savage, and Rambert. Rambert is what, a flagellant? Yeah, let's take the... Actually, we got Sorrel the Wild Man. Take the Wild Man. Wild Men tend to be really, really good at fighting, and I'd rather have him. Let's dive on into the market real fast and see if we can grab him just some quickie loot. That'll work. That'll work. And that'll work right there. Let's get him fitted up real fast so that he's ready for the battle. Oh, he already had a weapon. I mean, to be fair, it is just a busted-ass stick. But now he actually looks like a warrior, so we can make this thing happen. Now, all that there is left to do is walk on back and get our quest from Harkensy. But it is quite a long walk, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through there. Arriving right around dusk, we can still get our quest even though it's dusk, so that's fine. The city's not shut down at night. Eggle the Guildmaster is pacing back and forth when you find him. The healer who damn near killed you with the fire poke is standing nearby. He's picking chunks of dried blood out of his fingernails. Eggle the Guildmaster claps his hands. Finally, you're here. I've got good news though. We got a hold of one of Hoggart's former men. My good friend here had a nice little talk with the man, and now I know where Hoggart's licking his wounds. The healer clears his throat, splaying his fingers out like a maiden looking to paint them. He speaks as though he's identifying a disease he's about to excise. The brigand known as Hoggart is hiding in a small hut on the plains to the south of here. Based on my most civil discussion with one of his men, Hoggart knows the heavy hand of the game is on his heels and will have gathered more men since your last time you met him. Eggle the Guildmaster waves you off. Good luck, Sellsword. And so there it is. We should be able to arrive there by daybreak. As you walk along the roads, a throng of ragged-looking men speed past you. They clear off the path and jump down into embankment and hide behind a wall of bushes. With the shrubbery still swaying, another group of men soon appears. Before the first man even speaks, you already know what's coming. Apparently, some of the laborers had agreed in union to abandon a project over the pursuing overseers simplify his issues. They ask if you've ever seen these ne'er-do-wells. Yeah, they're right over there. The overseers nod and draw clubs and pitchforks and even some nets. They scramble off the road and converge into the bushes like a bunch of raiders would a wagon. It's a wild though one-sided fight. Men are beaten and battered like fish in a bush. Even far up the hillside, you can hear the unmistakable clonking of wood on the skull. You see one man fatally stabbed with a spear, perhaps the resolution of a conflict of a somewhat more personal matter. When the battle ends, the head overseer turns to you, a line of prisoners behind him looking rather the worse for wear. He hands you a purse of coins, clapping you on the shoulder and thanking you for keeping order. 50 crowns, man. We low on money. We don't have the luxury of principles right now. We got to make money wherever the hell we can. All right, so we don't want to fight at night because we get debuffs if we fight at night. So I'm going to stay away from letting that happen. Now that it's dawn, we'll go ahead and get up in here. We got some thugs and a poacher. Let's go to war, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to handle the enemy. Ooh, missed. Those crossbow bolts can be pretty deadly if you land them right. There's Hoggart right there. These guys all have different abilities. Your abilities are basically levied by your weapon. So whatever weapon you have equipped, it'll give you some other stuff. So we've got knockback, we've got lash, which goes over shields, which can be kind of nice, and then we've got flail. It's up to you to decide which one to use at the proper moment, however. So Hoggart's moving on up, moving on up. Okay, we'll wait right here. He's probably going to go after him, though. But, yeah, we already ate an arrow right at the outset. Bows in this game are super overpowered. The more bowmen you have, the better your chances are of winning. I can tell you that right now. I run at least 3 to 4 of them in all of my armies because they're just that good. They're so insanely good. Like, archers are next level good in this game. There we go. Get a little damage off right there. Get a little love thumping happening. I guess you can go fight Hoggart. Best of luck to you, though. He's got pretty good gear. If we can land a headshot, though, you get to keep whatever gear doesn't get destroyed in the fight. And so, like, if you can beat somebody without destroying their armor or their helmet with, like, critical headshots or anything like that, you can end up with some pretty good loot in this game. Unfortunately, we're missing all of our attacks. Feels bad, man. But I can move you right up to here, and we can try to point blank, although, as luck would have it, didn't work for us. He's already been shredded pretty well. We'll bring this guy over to here so that on the next turn we got back up. You always want to encircle your enemies in this game if you can. It gives them a morale debuff that makes them less likely to hit and less likely to defend when you fight. And so, for example, you see those little flags right there? His morale is broken now, which means he's not going to attack anymore. He's going to do everything he can just to escape. That's the only thing he cares about right now. On this side, we'll go ahead and put something out right there, but no such luck. We got a dead body right there. We'll push up. He's now broken, so we'd be able to we can focus our efforts on this dude over here. We're going to encircle around him and see if we can get his morale to break too, although I doubt it. There's a big hit from our two-handed axeman, almost single-handedly laying him out. It's entirely not uncommon for your axe guy to one-shot people, so keep that in mind. Your axe guy is pretty good. I usually have two-handed people whenever I play this game. He tried to escape and was struck down by an attack of opportunity, in case you were wondering what happened right there. We need to get up in here and start messing with Hoggart, though. I'm not going to hold too much hope that we're going to kill this guy with a headshot. I mean, it can happen, but I sort of doubt it. Yeah, we broke his armor already. And off with his head. Let's go ahead and chase one of these dudes down, though, because there's still loot that I want to have. You ain't getting away. You might think you getting away, but you ain't. Good luck. I'm surprised everybody survived that fight. Normally, this gets a little bloody up front when you fight this fight. Like, at the beginning of the game, you just need to accept that you're going to lose men. And in fact, that's a major part of actually just playing this title. Men die. It is what it is. It doesn't happen frequently once you get good at the game, but sometimes bad luck happens and you lose a soldier. And you need to learn to, like, suck that up, because it is a part of the gameplay, learning to replace your losses and learning to bond with your characters as they live and die in combat with the enemy is a major part of what makes this game fun, in my opinion. Ow, you hit me with a club? How could you? We're going to break this morale. This morale's getting broken right now. Either that or we're just going to beat him to death. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Can you get to over there somewhere? Yeah, I was going to say, if you can get into his line of sight, I'd appreciate it, amigo. There you go. And the battle is done. We've got a couple of wounds right there. He got a pierced cheek, which will heal in 2 days, so he got stabbed through his cheek. I have my doubts that we're going to get very good. Oh, we got amber. I was going to say, I had my doubts we're going to get good loot from that, but it actually turned out okay. We also got a free short bow. Hell yeah. So we want to replace the crossbow about as fast as possible with that short bow right there, because the short bow is by far superior. There's no comparison between the two. Hoggart lies dead in a pool of his own blood, skewered into a grotesque and panicked pose. He didn't weasel his way out of this one. You put a boot on his corpse and look to your men, for the company, and for all the men who've fallen. Gottfried the Red spits on the man's face. Let's take this bastard's head and get back to Harkensee. Okay, back to Harkensee we go. Hopefully we can heal up a couple of these wounds while we out on the road, too, because we got to make some money here. We're kind of broke. Gottfried the Red joins your side. You got a moment, Captain? You nod for him to speak his mind. The battle has left some gear worse for wear, and some of the men got a good nicking, too. We can patch up man and equipment while marching, but it's faster to set down and do it. Of course, if we make camp, we should also be wary of ambush, as a campfire in these parts can be seen from every which way. Yeah, so there's a camp key up at the top right-hand corner that's just like Mountain Blade. You heal faster, you repair your gear faster, and sometimes events happen while you're camped that are good, but also sometimes you get ambushed and murdered. The company returns to Harkensee as victors, their heads held much higher this time. The heavy hand of the game are not the size that they once were, but they're still a force to be reckoned with, as Hoggart learned in his final moments. You carry his head in a sack that you empty in front of Eggle, the guildmaster's feet. He jumps back, but the healer quickly picks the head up, stares at it, and nods. Eggle, the guildmaster, approaches the brigand's bloodied face and eyes it carefully. Yeah, that's his ugly mug, all right. Servants, pay this man. Coin in hand, you raise your voice to the men. As long as there's blood coursing through our veins, and as long as we can hold sword and shield, there shall stand our company. All through the realm, people will know the heavy hand of the game. The men cheer. Halston puts his hand on your shoulder. You did well, Captain. No matter where you lead us, the men will follow as brothers in battle. That's the name of the game. We can sell that right here, although it's not that high above market value. I wouldn't recommend it. I would get rid of some of these tunics and whatnot, and some of these beat sticks. We'll hold on to everything else. We got an upgraded shield right there, which is really, really good. So we'll go ahead and use that on one of our men in just a moment. We're almost out of tools. Oof, they're so expensive here, though. They're so expensive here. So we probably won't buy that here. It's too expensive, and it's just not worth it. Picking up another man might be a good idea, but all these guys are fishermen. People's background job determines what they're good at and what they're bad at. And so, like, if you find somebody who's a hunter, obviously he's going to be good with bows and javelins and stuff like that. If you find somebody who's a berserker or a wild man, he's going to be very good in melee, but very trash at ranged combat. If you find somebody who's like an apprentice, he may have weird effects where your gear might get repaired a little bit cheaper. If you get a tailor in your group, he might take odds and ends from around the camp and make you new armor and stuff like that based on what you have in your inventory. And so, like, every single class in this game has a benefit. Even historians and, like, men of leisure, they have a benefit. It's just you kind of got to play around with it and or Google it and go to the wiki to see what they do. While we heal, let's go ahead and get on the road. We're going to go down to Burkhaven. We're going to make the full ring down here and see if we can find a job while we're on our way. Hopefully we have enough tools to get things repaired. What do they make down here? A workshop. So they make tools and they get herbs. Okay. Oh, they also have amber collectors down this way. Nice. Good to know. So this place has 2 jobs for us. This place is currently ambushed and has ambush trade routes, and it's been raided recently, which means that this place is going to be pretty expensive if we choose to buy here. However, that also means we get paid more if we sell them stuff because they haven't been able to get their trade lanes cleared up. Unfortunately, there's nothing here that I really want, so we're just going to walk away. However, if we take these jobs, we can actually resolve these problems right here. This one is more than likely protecting the city. So let's see here. This guy's got cargo that he wants to have delivered for 650 crowns. I accept your offer, and so we got to take cargo to Kaltenhof in the northwest. Sure, why not? We're going that way anyway, so we might as well pick up a job that pays a bunch of money before we get there. Where is Kaltenhof at? Is it far? Yeah, Kaltenhof's out there. Kaltenhof is out there. One of the things I disagree with in this game is that you can't take multiple jobs at the same time. I'm not saying you should be able to take endless amounts of jobs, but being able to take 2 or 3 jobs would have been really, really nice. You can only have 1 contract at a time. I'd prefer to be able to have I think 3 would be fair. 3 jobs at a time would be great, and one of the reasons why money is so tight in this game is because you can't take multiple jobs, and you can't take like multiple jobs that all send you north at the same time and do all of them along the way. You can only take 1 job, which takes you all the way across the map, then you got to walk all the way back, and so that's where the complication comes in. But like I said, I love this game. I think this game is great. I just think there's little things that I would have done differently, but hey, somebody else's creative creation. As is customary, you assemble the men to explain your company's next steps. Brothers, the heavy hand of the game must show the world that we are forged of a hotter fire than other mercenary bands. As our reputation grows, so will the influx of crowns to our coffers. Let us forge a path to greatness. What do you want your ambition to be? Let's get our company back to 12 men. We can either do that or have 12 men. We can have 12 men, or we can get a bond of trust with the city. I'll go with the 12 men first. That's probably more likely to happen first. Well, actually, I bet the other one will happen first. I'm just being a negative Nancy right now. Oh, good. The shops are still open. Fantastic. So we can hire some people down here. We've got a bard. We've got a daytaller. They tend to just be brute strength. They don't tend to be good at fighting, but they tend to have really, really good HP stats. We can sell that amber that we got over here for a pretty good pull. So we'll go ahead and get some extra money right there. And we've got another 600 bucks coming. There's some cheap tools, so I'll take those. And a little bit of cheap bread just to keep people sated. They do have a lot of wine over here, but it's a little overcost. The dyes are also a little overcost. I would buy dyes if they're below like 460. If you can get them below 460, you can take them somewhere else, and you can sell them for like 550, 600, and make like 140 per batch. Kind of up to you. Do they have arrows here? I need arrows. There we go. A couple of arrows right there. Arrowed! MSG'd! We'll go ahead and take this archer, and let's upgrade him and make him a better character. How about that? How about that? And then we'll start fixing some of these shields right here, too. Anybody level up? Oh, yeah, he did. Houston leveled up. So every time you level up, you get random stats. However, you have a better chance of getting better increases if you have a star in the stat. Our stats are hit points, maximum fatigue, which is how much gear you can carry and how much you can fight in combat before you gas out. Resolve is your bravery and your morale. Initiative is how early you move in the turn cycle. Melee combat is how average you hit, so 61's a pretty good score on him. 70 is about where I like to have it on my really, really good leveled up warriors. Range skill, exact same thing, just with ranged weapons. You have melee defense, which directly subtracts from the enemy's melee skills. So if you have a 10 here and he has a 61, he now has a 51, which can be pretty good if you can get it up to 15 or 20. It also stacks. Your shield gives a bonus of plus 15 to that. And then we have range defense, which is the exact same thing as right there, just it subtracts from somebody's range skill. I'm going to give him some HP. I'm going to give him some endurance. And I'm going to give him, since he's already got a good attack score, I'll wait till next turn to try and increase that, and we'll give him some better melee defense, since he's going to be in the thick of it. On top of that, you also get a perk. There's everything here from, like, stacking hit chances, to extra HP, to leveling up faster, to having fatigue recover faster, to having better movement. It depends what you want, but I think for anybody that's going to be in melee combat, Colossus is a must-have. It gives you, like, 15 to 20 free XP, and it's retroactive. So if you give your character more HP, he still gets the extra 25% from Colossus no matter what point in the game you're at. So a level 9 will benefit from it just like a level 1 will. My name is Splattercat. This game is called Battle Brothers. I figured we'd check back in on it because they just announced that a DLC is being developed, which we will be checking out once that comes out, maybe doing a full series. I will see you all next time. Thank you for stopping on by. Take care out, everybody. And if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like on it. Want to support the developers, you can get the game down below. Hi-do, and take care out there.